Hello, everyone out there. Thank you very much. It's Wednesday, so it's time for the Ravori Sports podcast. Like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms. We appreciate all of you out there. Look, we know it's not football season. We're in the off season here, so we're in the middle of baseball season. Orioles not very good this year, so we appreciate all of you out there. A lot of you have been commenting on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Some of you guys are very loyal out there. Shout out to all you guys out there that are doing that as well. So we appreciate all of you out there that are joining us here with the Baltimore Sports Podcast, which is all also too in the title now, so people know that it's Baltimore Sports as well. Instant reaction for the MLB draft coming up here on July 11th. Also, to Royals and Orioles, we're going to be talking about that as well that day. So we talk about the MLB draft, starting our MLB draft prep. So I'm definitely been going over that. Genesis Notary Services at Facebook.com. Some of you, if you've seen the channel, we're going to have a Genesis Notary Services live stream on June 1st. So definitely check that out for those of you that have never seen it. So we're going to be live here on our Ravori Sports channel and also too on my all of our Genesis Notary Services platforms on Facebook and on LinkedIn. So we're going to be going live there as well. So definitely check that out. 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Harris Legal Shield. So we haven't done a live stream in quite a while for Harris Legal Shield. So we're going to do that next month, 4th of July. So check that out. Early in the day, we're going to do a live stream for Harris Legal Shield as well. Definitely to check all of those things out here. Had a notary appointment the last couple of days. We appreciate all of you in Shenandoah Valley. Harris Legal Shield. Definitely get a will done. First one we did for Harris Legal Shield, my brother and his wife actually got a plan for Legal Shield. So we appreciate all of you who have enjoyed in that endeavor as well. RavenSports.company.site. That is our flagship as well. So definitely check that out as well. Definitely to a lot of the older stuff, the former stuff is still going to be on the Raven Sports site. We've been putting up Fanatics links. We're going to have one up tonight. So you're going to see links to Fanatics. If you want the new flight jerseys as well, a lot of the, especially the Orioles stuff, if you want the brand new City Connects and all that stuff, Pete Alonso, the new guys, Trey Hendrickson, back to the, stuff like that. So a lot of that's on Fanatics because that's easier for them to go ahead and send it out. We have our own supply of jerseys as well. So definitely too, we can get that if you are looking for, I guess you could call them vintage jerseys now that they've actually changed it. But definitely, absolutely go ahead and check that out. We're going to have some more interviews soon. Probably not this week, but next week we're going to go ahead and do some more interview series. The next set of interviews will probably be a little less sports XO as well. So just keep that in mind. All right. Let's check it out here. So now we're deep in the off season. We're going to talk a little bit about OTAs that is going on, but let's go ahead and talk about what happened years ago. So now that we're after the draft, we're after the schedule release. We talked about that last week. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the history. So the Ravens have had, this is a very interesting list here, I think, here when you talk about the history of free agencies. Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome have always kind of described themselves as a draft and develop team. Okay. They're not really, in a lot of ways, that into free agency as well. I think it's very interesting to see the history of all the players they've signed. That philosophy is definitely true more now in more recent years than in the past because they've had a lot of good vets in the past. What free agents, veterans have been the biggest free agent signings? And we're going to talk a little bit of trade at the beginning, but free agent signings. So these are guys that were available on the street, not with a new team. Ravens went in and signed them. Let's go ahead and go over who was the best that the Ravens ever had. I'm surprised who's number one here on my list. I don't see it more often. To me, it's pretty easy, but it's interesting to see this, and this will be on our social media tomorrow. Who are the 20 best free agent signings of all time. Interesting here. So let's get this out the way before somebody says it. I'm sure somebody on the list is going to say this guy, this guy, this guy. So let's talk about trades. So this isn't the list, but these are trades that the Ravens made. Not everyone, but the top ones. Roquan Smith, right now, current Maryland linebacker, second round pick for Chicago. I think that's pretty good. I mean, considering you got one of the best players in the league defensively. Some people would question that now, but I definitely think it made a lot of sense at the time. Big trade. Anquan Bolden, third and fourth round pick. That's pretty good. The Ravens didn't want to absolutely give up high picks, super high picks for a wide receiver, a vet receiver, but 3 and 4 makes a lot of sense for a guy as good as Bolden was. Marcus Peters. This was huge. I mean, the Ravens gave up a guy they didn't even want, really, Kenny Young, and a 5th round pick. Young, I think he started for a few years, but Marcus Peters really, really was. This was probably the most lopsided trade they had. 5th round pick for Calais Campbell, who's back. Calais Campbell was a 5th round pick for the Ravens. I think it was the Jags. I think it was for them. The late Steve McNair. Never forget this as far as shout out to the late Steve McNair, one of the greatest quarterbacks, I think, in history of the NFL. 4th round pick from Tennessee. So it wasn't a free agent signing. It was a 4th round pick from Tennessee. I always, too, and nobody brings this up, how they could have had Drew Brees that offseason. They didn't look at it. Culpepper. It's only kind of mentioned in the 2 teams that were involved, the Dolphins and the Saints. But the Ravens were also looking for a quarterback, and they really didn't even try. Because they really wanted Steve McNair. Willis McGahee, 3rd and 7th round from Buffalo. This was after Jamal Lewis left as well. Kind of mixed on McGahee, kind of did well and then didn't. Eugene Monroe, some people are going to argue that he didn't play well. He played well for about a year or two as well, and they didn't give up a lot, 4th and 5th round pick. All right, number 20, guy who was just here, Kyle Van Noy. This was pretty Raven-like pick, guy that nobody wanted. Really blue light type of guy, really made a good contribution for them over a year ago. So this was definitely a guy. So 2 years, he was really good. Last year, not quite as good as well. I don't expect him back, at least before training camp, unless there's an injury or something like that. But Kyle Van Noy, I thought, was a good signing. I'm definitely putting him in the top 20. Good sack totals. I mean, double-digit sacks or close to it 2 straight years. So definitely shout out Kyle Van Noy here. I got him at 20. Number 19, Daryl Smith. Big shoes to fill. Daryl Smith replaced Ray Lewis. So this was the guy that actually had to step in when Ray Lewis retired right after the Super Bowl win. So good, solid inside linebacker. Obviously, replacing Ray Lewis, I think this is why he's more forgettable. Though a lot of people are on there because he wasn't as good as Ray Lewis. More of a typical, solid inside linebacker. Decent as well. Good tackler. Good at the line of scrimmage. More traditional. I think you definitely put him in the top 20. I mean, this was a guy that didn't bust out or anything like that. Either way, I thought he was good as well. So I think Daryl Smith deserved it. Is there a couple? Started for a couple seasons. Wasn't a guy, that when I'm making this list out too, that's a factor as well. Not a guy who's just there. Sometimes you got a guy there 1 year or whatever, but like a guy, if he started for a couple seasons, it worked out. Trent Dilfer. Some people say this is higher. Trent Dilfer, number 18. Look, he really only played, even though they won the Super Bowl in 2000, about a half a season. Like, that was really it. Came in from Tampa, was a backup, was Tony Banks' backup really most of the year, didn't really play. Then Banks really struggled. Brian Billick put him in. Rest was history. Defense played well. Dilfer read the train, and he was actually there. So I wouldn't put him in the top, but definitely too. The bigger story almost with Dilfer is not how he played with the Ravens, obviously in the Super Bowl, but letting him go. We'll never know how it would have went as you kept Trent Dilfer as the starting quarterback. So that's well. But Dilfer, I definitely think with a Super Bowl win quarterback, I think you got to put him on list number 18. Number 17 in the broadcast booth nowadays, Quadri Ishmael, the missile. For a long time, this was the best Ravens receiver you could argue in history. Certainly a guy after the franchise as well. I didn't put Michael Jackson and Derek Alexander as free agents on the list, but you could definitely make a case in the early years of the Ravens that this guy was the best receiver that they had for a long time. So definitely got him small free agent deal as well, and really really played well with the Ravens as well. Probably receiver one in the years of the great defense for the Ravens as well. So shout out Quadri Ismail, number 17. Number 16, here's a guy you could argue he never even should have been here. Got here in a bit of a quirk, Elvis Dumerville for the Ravens. So definitely signed with Denver the year before, had a contract extension change, and what happened was the contract never got in on time. Like, so Denverville, the contract never got in on time, and so it wound up being a free agent. Denver couldn't keep him at the reduced rate. Ravens go in and sign him, and the rest is history. Dumerville was terrific. His first couple years with the Ravens as well. I think he had 17 sacks one year as well. So he was really, really good with the Ravens. So this was they haven't had enough guys to me like this, the outstanding pass rushers and all that, etc. Um, they definitely need guys like that to go ahead and be great pass rushers. They haven't had guys like this easy to find. So you usually don't find a guy this talented as well. A little bit on the back half, like a lot of these free agent guys as well. But Dumerville, I think, was an excellent signing. I have Dumerville, number 16. Number 15, Mark Ingram. Best compliment I've heard about Ingram, who had his wonderful son say Steelers suck during the draft. That was fantastic. It's fantastic, by the way. But you don't think of him as a Saint, do you? You think of him as a Raven. He only played really 3 years as a Raven. He kind of was the guy to usher in the Lamar Jackson era as well, which was huge. Definitely a guy, again, typical Raven signing, guy in his late 20s, early 30s, hungry, ready to play. And you get Ingram in, had a couple 1,000-yard seasons, good production without a lot of carries. So he didn't outrush Lamar Jackson, but definitely he had a solid couple of seasons as well. So this was a very good free agent signing here for the Ravens. One of the few later years as well. You see a lot of these guys here are earlier as well. So Mark Ingram, I think this was Ozzie. I'm not sure, but it was right around that time where Ozzie took over. I think it was Lamar. I keep thinking. I'm thinking this was Eric DaCosta that signed him, but definitely this was right. If it was right around the time where Ozzie went out and Eric took over, so it was right around there. So I'm not sure if it was, but it was right around there as well. My boy Kelly Gregg, I definitely love Kelly Gregg. I used to always say when I saw Kelly Gregg play, take a look at a shot of his stomach. You got to get a shot of the gut. That's what it got. You're not getting a first down running into that stump. That's. I'm a fan of the Kelly Gregg stump. That's right there. Great defensive player, old school all the way. Definitely a guy played after Tony Siragusa. He was a free agent. He wasn't a guy, not a high price guy, kind of like a blue light guy. Came on, really only played. I think as much as he did is because the Ravens didn't have any money, right? After the 2001 purge, they won the Super Bowl in 2000. They brought a lot of the guys back for 2001 when they got eliminated in the playoffs, and then at the end of that season, they had to blow the whole team up. They were way over the cap. I think this is kind of why they operate the way they do. They don't want a situation like that they had. One of the guys that was there, that was free agent there, was Kelly Gregg. Gregg, I think, one of the all-time great Ravens. I think very underrated. Love Kelly Gregg as well. So great free agent signing. Blue light, really, I don't know where. Played several years for the Ravens. Got an extension. Now we're getting to the really, really good stuff. Eric Weddle for the Ravens. Number 13. Weddle, I think, is one of the most underrated free agent signings of all time that we had. 13. Weddle, I think you really got a guy who eats stint. One thing I noticed about Eric Weddle was he instantly became a leader on the defense. So that was a really, really big deal. Really, really big deal. Weddle really was a guy at a time where you had Ed Reed gone, so you really needed some safety help. You really had a leadership void. You were looking for that next guy. Weddle is an outstanding defensive player, so as well. Not quite as good as Ed Reed was, as well, but a great leader, very instinctive. Um, Definitely, he's the guy, number 13, Eric Weddle. Outstanding signing as well. Only reason probably he's not higher is because of the tenure, the shortness of the tenure. But I definitely think didn't make as much impact in the shortness of the tenure as well. Trevor Price, number 12. Price, I think, is one of the best defensive players that we don't talk about as well. Finally getting this opportunity to talk about Trevor Price. Came over from Denver, outstanding in both positions in Denver, outstanding at the tackle, outstanding at the end. Really, really wanted to play in Baltimore. Really wanted to play in Baltimore as well. Denver had to make some changes. Trevor Price came in, and I think he was phenomenal. I think for the longest time, very underrated underneath for Terrell Suggs. But this guy was a pass rusher, run stopper, played inside, played outside, played great at the nose. You could put him anywhere on the line. You could put him on the outside. He could pass rushes. Totally complete guy. Definitely on the tail end. But Trevor Price, I think, was a much more kind of like what you're seeing with Calais Campbell. Like if you never saw Trevor Price and you seen Calais Campbell, this is the guy that you absolutely like. Trevor Price, number 12. Kevin Zeitler, number 11. Zeitler, I think, is one of the better. He's got a borderline Hall of Fame career. Still going. I'm still befuddled why you didn't bring him in last year. Like, to me, it made no sense why you kept going for Lele when you could have had Kevin Zeitler. So Zeitler, I don't think they're going to bring him back with what they've done at guard already. But Zeitler, I think, definitely too was just what the doctor ordered. You talk about how many years you have a guy like kind of similar to Eric Weddle and Ed Reed. For years and years, you had Marcel Yanda. What do you need? You need a guy like Kevin Zeitler to pick up the slack and be one of the top tackles. He was a top guard in the NFL, still is, you could argue, to this day. Definitely one of the better free agent signings that the Ravens had. Over 30, hungry. Definitely a guy for years and years that was really solid for them. When you want to bring guys, you want to bring guys at the top of the league like this. It's always worth it to bring a guy in that is definitely one of the best players at his position. And that's what Zeitler is. Definitely a mauler as well. They still miss. Supposed to be talking about back in the day, but I can't help it but mentioning Zeitler now as well. But Zeitler, number 11, as far as free agents. Number 10, God, RIP, the great Jacoby Jones. There's a lot of people feel that this is the greatest kickoff returner in the history of the Baltimore Ravens. This is easy on the list. We'll never know if Mike Tomlin didn't step in. If he'd have ran back that touchdown, Mike Tomlin messed him up there. I think this guy was a phenomenal addition of the Ravens as well. Exactly what the guys do. Great third receiver, great sack receiver. Not a great overall receiver, but an excellent contributor. Definitely a special teams guy. Definitely a guy that helped you on your special teams with the great pickoff return. I think a lot of people think he's the greatest of all time. We could argue him or Jermaine Lewis, but I think it was a phenomenal addition. Certainly a guy that made a huge impact to a Super Bowl victory as well. So Jacoby Jones, number 10. Number 9, Matt Burke. So some people here again think, is this the best center in Ravens history? Matt Burke. I don't know about that, but definitely here's a guy who was exactly what again. I hate to even bring, but exactly what you're missing right now. Here's a guy, clearly a leader, clearly a guy who handled his position, made all the calls as well. Brought him in from Minnesota, already had a lot of success. Brought it into Baltimore. Definitely a guy. even right now, they're missing a guy like Matt Burke, who was a leader. So only had about 3 seasons. So I think that's the only reason I was lower. But you could argue Burke, when he played with the Ravens, top 10 center in the league, top 10 center in the league, if not higher than that in some cases as well. So Burke, I think, was an excellent signing as well. Not a ton of money they spent either. Like again, so Burke, I think, was really good. There was number 9, definitely EDC's best free agent signing, Derrick Henry. This is pretty easy. Henry, I think, is look, he's a monster truck. I've said it several times. This guy's definitely going to the Hall of Fame. I understand why the Titans let him go, because you're not supposed to have running backs this productive this late in their career. But a lot of them are Derrick Henry. This is a no-brainer signing. I think this is probably the best signing that Eric DeCosta ever did. A lot of these are Ozzie signings. A lot of these is a big difference between what Ozzie did and what Eric did in free agency. But this is an Eric DeCosta signing, one of the best players. I think you could argue right now he's the best running back in the NFL. I mean, you could debate that. Some people still might, but I think definitely one of the better running backs in the NFL, Derrick Henry. Number 8. Number 7, Big Sam Adams, not the beer. I think definitely too. You talk to Ray Lewis, ask Ray Lewis how good Sam Adams is. Ask Jamie Sharper how good Sam Adams is. Ask Peter Boulware how good Sam Adams is. This was the guy, came over from Seattle. Huge body, and look, you talk about Kelly Gregg. This was the real deal. This was the guy with the tremendous size. Look, Ray Lewis never had a hand laid on him the whole time the guy was on him. And of course, I'm not going to separate the late Tony Siragusa right ahead of him. Goose, I think, was a phenomenal look. These guys, you weren't going to run the ball on Tony Siragusa and Sam Adams. You just weren't going to do it. Like there was no such thing as the defense. The defense, you had pass rushers, you had cornerback, you had all these guys, you had da-da-da. Yeah, but these guys were the linchpin. These guys were 2 free agent signings. You know, it's funny. We had all these free agent defensive players at that time because the defense was bad. Like under Ted Marchibroda. So they had to bring defenders as well, and it turned out to be one of the greatest defenses of all time. So it's interesting is everybody forgets that the defense, like under Marchibroda, was just horrible. So they had to load up on the free agent defenders as well. And those 2 were phenomenal. Saragusa. Steve Smith, number 5. I think Steve Smith, it's only a shame he missed the 1 year with the injury. But I think Smith, he was the precursor to what you see with a lot of receivers now. Like he used to have to be like a Michael Irvin, a tall, big, Steve Smith had it all, but he was smaller. Definitely too. He could run the tough routes across the middle. He had the size, great speed, deep speed. But he was definitely strong enough, physical enough to handle position. So you see Zay Flowers and you see a lot of Steve Smith as well. Safe, I'm not quite as physical as Steve Smith was or could be, but Steve Smith I thought was an easy signing as well. I remember the Carolina Panthers released him one day, Ravens the next day signed him. It was a great signing as well. Number 4, Michael McCrary. You talk about one of those great defenders as well. Motor. This guy never stopped moving as well. Definitely too. A lot of questioning. This is a good one because a lot of people questioned the signing at the time. He was one of those guys who had a great contract year his last year in Seattle, but before that, not so much. And he blew the doors off in Baltimore. He was fantastic. Great free agent signing. Again, one of those free agents that they had to sign because they needed defensive help as well. Michael McCrary, I think, was an excellent addition for them as well. I think McCrary was one of the better defenders that we don't talk about. You talk about that, the Ravens history, not quite at the level of the Ray Lewis and all that, etc., but definitely without that steady pass rush. You get it. You can't write the book of the Ravens without Michael McCrary, part of that 2000 team. Number 3, Rod Woodson. Rod, I think, was one of the greatest players in the history of the NFL. I think probably I have Deion Sanders higher than him, but that's it as far as a corner. And at safety, he was outstanding as well. this is exactly what you want to see with a guy like a Rod Woodson. So corner for years. He's kind of lost some of his speed, and he's fantastic at safety for all that time. Definitely one of the better safeties in the NFL. You look when you have one of the great all-time defenses like the Ravens had. You got 2, 3 guys go to the Hall of Fame. Easy Ray Lewis, easy Rod Woodson. Definitely two. This was a gigantic signing. It was interesting too. This was kind of before the Ravens Steelers stuff started, but known as a great Steeler as well. But Rod Woodson, I look definitely I think of him as a great Raven as well. Phenomenal free agent signing, and definitely too was a guy a lot of people didn't know if it was going to work out, kind of on the downside of his career. So kind of interesting there. Number 2, D Mace. Currently, I think going to be one of the all-time leaders in terms of wide receiver yards for the Ravens as well. Definitely long career in Tennessee. Before that, Mace, I think he was their number one guy for the longest time. I think after you talk about a Quadri Ismail, it was Derek Mason was the top receiver. The closest thing they've had ever, really, which is almost weird to say for an NFL team, to a diva, but that's kind of what D Mace was. Definitely called for the ball. Definitely 2 consistent 1,000-yard seasons, probably more than everybody else in the Ravens. I think so. He was a phenomenal choice. Definitely longevity, but I think the biggest one, Shannon Sharp. It's undisputed. Oh, it's a nightcap. Shannon Sharp, I think, was the biggest star offensive player that they ever signed at the time. This was exactly what they needed to go ahead. I don't think you win the Super Bowl unless you sign Shannon Sharp. And so that's why I think he's number 1, because the one thing they didn't have, they had good receivers. They had D Mace, they had Quadri, they had da-da-da. Yeah, but you didn't have a star on wide receiver. You didn't have a star on your offense. This was a superstar, Shannon Sharp. I think Shannon Sharp is one of the 5 greatest players in the history of the NFL at the tight end position. And I think Shannon Sharp was the biggest free agent impactful signing in the history of the Ravens. There you go. All right. There's your list. So go ahead and argue with me in the comments. A lot of sure are. We're going to release this on our social media here. The 20 greatest free agent signings in the history of the Baltimore Ravens. So definitely check that out as well. I think it's pretty easy. Shannon Sharp is number 1. I kind of definitely think it's pretty easy. That Shannon Sharp is the top guy. All right. Let's go ahead and get this squared away. Yeah, it's down there. Ravens, OTAs. For those of you that don't know what that means, that's organized team activities. So, Ravens OTAs. I don't have too much on OTAs. I think the couple things I do want to talk about here. Thing I'm most focused on personally is the center position. I think that's a huge mistake that was made by the Ravens in the draft, not taking a center. Now here you are at OTAs hoping for a center. We will see about that. Corey Bullock is in the competition. Jonathan Gwynn is in competition. Nick Dawkins, I think a guy, I don't know if we talked about Nick Dawkins, was played with Van at Penn State, all in the competition. The guy that's really stood out is Danny Pinter. According to all reports, he's the guy, looks like he's getting the first team reps here at OTAs, whatever that's worth as well. So I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on. A lot of vets didn't play. That's not, and again, don't worry too much about that. That's certain guys, certainly, they don't necessarily have to be out there all the time. I think some guys you laid out, check them out, make sure they're on the field, make sure they're in the film, make sure they're learning things, whatever. There's newness on both sides, so I think that's a real thing as well. No real fullback. That's kind of held to a lot of tight end play, but no real fullback. So that's really going on right now for the Ravens as well. Real quick, Lamar. The story is not, and I'm going to say it one more time, is not about the him missing practice and all that. And the story, I think, is the Ravens haven't signed him to a long-term deal. That's the issue. That's why you're making a fuss about this. Real quick, let's a little bit of a parable. Jennifer Lopez, right? Just stay with me. So Jennifer Lopez is a phenomenal actress, beautiful. Jennifer Lopez, two of my wife's favorite movies of all time was Enough and Selena. Jennifer Lopez movies. I was a big fan of The Living Color. Definitely all these issues, all the great stuff that she's done, etc. Celebrity Opposition. What do we talk about with Jennifer Lopez? All the time. No husband. Right? You're beautiful. You were dating Ben Affleck and Alex Rodriguez and all these people, but you got no husband. Right? How'd you get no husband? What's the problem? What does that have to do with OTAs? Ravens, kind of the same thing. What's going on right now? The Baltimore Ravens, you had a great reputation, you're a great drafting team, you won a lot of games, you have this, you have all this other stuff, but you have problems signing quarterbacks. That's not a little deal. And I don't know why this isn't done already. I don't know why you haven't signed like Lamar. Why are you leaving this out? So I don't understand that. That to me is the bigger story right there. Lamar, the issues with those things. So there it is. OTAs are going on day 2 as well. I mean, so we'll definitely talk more about that, organized team activities. But I think those are the two big things. Lamar and his contract and the center competition. I think that's definitely going to be keep an eye on during organized team activity, mini camps, and all that, etc. As we go forward. All right. A little bit on this. Something to talk about. Let's go ahead and even check it out here for a few seconds. Because I think the story off the track is as interesting as the one that's going on.
Side, Chip Poncho is. Now the two of them are together, and Napoleon Solo has taken the lead on the outside as they come to the top of the stretch. 3/4 up in 1:12.08 seconds, and they're into the stretch. And Paco Lopez and Napoleon Solo have the lead. Iron Honor makes his run on the outside. Chip Poncho is third. Giving way is Taj Mahal. Here's Iron Honor trying to come and get Napoleon Solo. These two to the final furlong. Napoleon Solo still there. Iron Honor on the outside. Cannot get him. Napoleon Solo and Paco Lopez have won the Preakness. They won it by a length over Iron Honor. Chip Poncho was third.
So Napoleon Solo, you just heard it, won the Preakness 2026. What looked different in the Preakness this year is that was not Pimlico Racetrack. That was Laurel Racetrack. So May 16th, written by Jockey Paco Lopez, trained by Trad Summers. $2 million at 10-1. So congratulations for those of you that bet $500 at Laurel Racetrack the other day. And Pac, where Napoleon Solo actually wins the race as well. So what's going on? Why is it at Pimlico? I think we talked about it last year, but right now Pimlico in West Baltimore is under reconstruction because of all the years that they kind of waited. Now they're fixing up at Pimlico Racetrack. From all accounts, what we're hearing, it should be ready for 2027 race next year underneath a $400 million redevelopment where it began demolition last year. So they couldn't do the Preakness there this year because of reservations there as well. So I'm really curious to see how much different it looks. It really has always had a distinct look out there as well. But how much different are you making it? That's going to be the key. How much of this really interesting to see how much of the old history of the old infield are you going to keep? It's long overdue for redevelopment. I mean, that's putting it mildly, considering that. I mean, the fact that they're just now doing this is crazy. I mean, it should have been done a long time ago. Same with what my brother Greg would call the Civic Center, which is called First Mariner, et cetera, et cetera. That's how long it's been since those two were there. So it's good to see they finally did something with Pimlico. They're not doing something with both facilities for years. Nobody likes to say this out loud because they don't like the city, and the people with the money don't like where they are. That's just the fact of the matter. Pimlico's in Park Heights. Park Heights is a rough neighborhood. It's kind of akin to a nicer area. Mount Washington considered a nicer area, but a lot of people didn't. They don't like. They complain about going there. So this is why they took so long. Finally, they got it done, and so you're going to have the Preakness there 2027 as well. Good. Thanks. Congratulations to all of you out there that went to the Preakness as well. Lowell, not quite West Baltimore. Like Lowell's like you're about 50 minutes drive away. So definitely shout out to all of you that went out to the Preakness. I'm saying the big infield party. Oh baby, NBA playoffs are just these games have been fantastic the last couple of days. So definitely too, I've definitely been checking out the NBA as well. These games have been terrific as well. Let's tempted to start with the other series, but I'll start with the Eastern Conference Finals as well. Let's talk about the Knicks. The Knicks were. I agree with Charles Barkley when he says no teams look better in the playoffs than the Knicks. No question about it. They've been phenomenal. They're not playing the Pistons. Mixing the Cavs, right? Get the series right. First of all, that Cavs, I think, are here, deserve to be here. I think we're going to find out which one of these two great players kind of gets the monkey off their back a little bit, whether it's Jalen Brunson or Donovan Mitchell going to the finals as well. I think both of these series are possibly going 7 games. These are very evenly matched on both sides. I don't think either one of these teams is going to beat anybody in the West, but I definitely think it'll be hard fought. Game one was terrific. Game one I thought was terrific. The Knicks jumping out to the lead, then the Cavs taking over a month's game. Knicks with a tremendous comeback as well. The Knicks playing hard every night. So are the Cavs. These teams really look like they're wanting to go ahead and go all the way. Bit of a surprise that they eliminated the Pistons because I even had the graphic there. I'm thinking it's going to be the Pistons, but a bit of a surprise. Game 7 against the Pistons, Cavs just wanted it more. They hustled harder. They rebounded harder. They took charges more. They were just more that physical to physical team. Real quick, Pistons. Pistons they're just not there yet. Just not there yet. They kind of sidelined Durant, and I think that was kind of it. They kind of made it hard for him. Cade Cunningham had to do it by himself, and that was it as well. Donovan Mitchell and Harden were up to the challenge, but I think they have a pretty complete team in Cleveland, so that's good. So, but I think the Knicks were really good, have been really good. They won the first game. This is going to be a heck of a series, heck of a game one. This series, I think, is the real finals. And I said it because these two teams are phenomenal. I thought game one was phenomenal as well. The Thunder are the best team in the NBA, I think, maybe, but you can't beat the Spurs. This is really Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins type stuff, okay? So Roman Reigns, a lot of people consider him the greatest, but you have so much trouble with Seth Rollins. And this is kind of what I see here with the Spurs. like the Spurs are finding a way to beat the Thunder over and over here. So they won game one. Um, I saw a couple places where people were like, Wemby's finally was named MVP. Fraud. That's further than I go. But I do think of one thing years ago, the great David Robinson, years ago, won the MVP. A lot of people thought he won MVP. Spurs were great during the regular season, et cetera, et cetera. This was before Tim Duncan got there. Dennis Rodman was phenomenal in that year. I think that was 94. I think that was 1994. Yeah, it was 94 when David Robinson really won the MVP, had a great season. They played the Rockets in the conference finals. Rockets were a much lower seed, and Akeem Olajuwon showed everybody who the real MVP was. That has shades of that already. Wembanyama, that was just gangster hitting that three from logo late in the game. I don't think they go into overtime and do what they did had he not hit the three. This is a very deep team for the Spurs. They have at least 4 or 5 guys that are capable of 20 more points. Wembanyama's growing right before us, but Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox didn't even play in game one. I mean, he's outstanding. He was an all-star. Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, old Harrison Barnes, etc. Rick Sixman. They have a lot of really good players in San Antonio. The Thunder, I think, is terrific. I think that's about as bad in game one as I've seen SGA play throughout the whole game. They've got him figured out a little bit defensively. So I think this is why they're having so much trouble. They get a little less production from Wembanyama. They get a little less production from SGA, and they have guys, they're hitting mid-range shots that really affects their defense. Because the Thunder are outstanding inside, they're outstanding on the perimeter, but they don't do as well in the mid-range. So I think that was really good stuff. So Thunder, I think this is going to be a phenomenal series. This is going to be a phenomenal series. I think this is the real finals. I think the winner of this series go ahead and wins the NBA. All right. We'll keep on that as well, the NBA. Let's go ahead and shift to what's wrong with the Orioles. I didn't want to do this segment because I didn't want the Orioles to be bad. I kind of looked at it last year. Did I do a segment? I did it. I think I did this last year because we got baseball summer coming up next week. This is why we're going to start talking about the Norfolk Tides, the minor league system. We're going to start talking about a lot of other baseball things that aren't MLB, and not necessarily MLB. And we're going to start talking about that. And we had a segment to do here. I try and do at least 2 baseball segments here. And I came up last year like, what's wrong with the Orioles? And I was like, well, maybe we're not going to – Orioles will be good, right? I didn't even want to put like, what's wrong with the Orioles? That's what we're talking about. There are so many things that are the problem right now. Do I think the Orioles were as bad as they were last year? No. I think they're actually a better team than what we saw right before Michael Elias, Brandon Hyde rather, was fired. So do I think you're better? Yes. I think you're better offensively. I think you have a better thing. Are you in worse shape, maybe? Yes. Because a lot of things now are fruition. Now, no more of this stuff about we're developing, we're waiting. No. You're here now. This is it. This is their group here. You got your minor league system. For those of you who don't know, we talk about the minor league system is now cleaned out. A lot of your prospects now, your really good top prospects, Nate George, Ike Irish, Lima Aloy, they're A prospects, A ball, right? You don't have any guys coming up right now this year. Maybe you'll see Bradfield. So this is it. And so you have underwhelming stuff going on right now. So let's go ahead and check this out. Let's go ahead and go over the reasons why the what's wrong here as well. 6, defense. Defense is not good. Defense is not really good all season long. They have, I think, 29 errors, but I think it looks worse than that, doesn't it? Like they're not fundamentally sound defensively. Um, the catching has been good, so I think the catching is probably the one spot where I think it's been good on both sides. I think Adley, Rushman, and Samuel Basayo. Basayo's I think hitting up now 270. Adley I think has had a good year. So I think on both sides, I think both catchers have been really good. So I think that's the one thing. Alonso not a great first baseman, but that's not first base. Jeremiah Jackson has looked decent at second baseman. I don't know if he's a true second baseman. I've never really liked Gunnar at short. He made 3 errors this week. They should move him, but they're not going to. I don't think they want to start that because he's a star player, so they don't want to do that. Kobe Mayo started out great. He's kind of really struggled at third. Outfield has been abominable. Taylor Ward has been awful in the outfield. I think in center, you don't really have a center fielder, a true center fielder. Lodi Tavares, decent center fielder. Kowser, I think, is okay in center, but he's not hitting. So that's a problem. They've had Gaston in right field with Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Beavers as well. So you just haven't supported. I mean, and also too, they're getting errors in bad times as well. So I think defense has really hurt you. I think that's one big problem. Some would put him one. Michael Elias. I cannot put up anything. Orioles. I do this every single day. Orioles, Ravens, content every day. Orioles, Ravens. There isn't a day where I put up anything and it's not fire Michael Elias. There's like, I see at least now 20 Twitter accounts with fire Michael Elias, like calling himself fire Michael Elias as well. I can't argue that at this point because you haven't come to fruition. Your minor league guys haven't come really through. The guys aren't playing well. So many of the young guys are not developed. There's been a lot of issues there. And also, too, he's just a guy. He never says anything. I know somebody's going to say he's a GM, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But he never, ever speaks. You ever speak to somebody and they never really speak? Everything he says is GM speak, business speak. Everything is filtered. Everything is say something with some emotion to fire up your team. I bet you he's never done that. He's never went into that locker room and said anything that fired up his manager, that fired up his organization, that fires up his guys. He makes speeches like that every time I've seen him. Okay? And I understand you're a GM and that there's subterfuges to blah, blah, but that's on you. And your guys aren't developed. This minor league stuff and all this stuff, and you need the 3 years development and blah, 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 and you need all that. It hasn't happened for a lot of guys. And that's on you. So I don't know how much longer David Rubenstein and the ownership group is going to continue to look at this stuff and just continue to have this guy here as the GM. We'll see. I don't have him at 1 because players have to play. But I definitely think this is not helping over time. 4, injuries. I think we're kind of going past that because this wasn't as bad as it maybe was last year. You still have had a lot of injuries. You still had a lot of guys miss time. You don't have Westy, that hurt. Jordan Westberg. You don't have Ryan Mountcastle. You don't have Felix Bautista still. Ron Helsey's on the shelf. I feel like I'm forgetting. Zach Eflin went out. Jackson Holiday, you're just getting him back. So that hasn't helped. I think this is more of a factor than I think people are saying because you haven't had your guys in there. That does matter. You're not so good where you can have that as well. So I think injuries have played a factor is more than I think what people are saying. They are missing talent. So I think injuries factor, especially in the pitching. Your bullpen missed some starts. They're trying to get Keegan Aiken has been awful. It's coming back. A lot of fighting injuries as well. So I definitely want to put that there. Number 3, inexperienced skip. I can't say I love what I've seen for the manager yet. I mean, everybody's kind of focused on Elias because it's kind of hard to blame him because he just got here. But this guy clearly is green as grass. I mean, he's drinking through a fire hose right now. He's never been a player, never been a major league manager. Staff really full, not a major league manager. So I think that's a factor. Everybody's getting on Drew French. I think that's true too. I mean, we'll get to him, but I think that's your manager is not really kind of, again, what are you saying to your guys right now? Are you getting them fired up? Are you getting, I mean, everything he kind of says, he kind of sounds like Mike Elias often when I hear him, kind of the same double speak, kind of, guys, and we're going to, are you making the line of card? Are you putting your foot there? Are you, he just to me looks a little green right now, which isn't a surprise. This is rookie manager. So it's harder to blame him as well. But the manager has, I think, a big impact or should on the field as well. So I think that's it. But the biggest problem, the pitching has been terrible. I think the relief pitching is too outside of Ryan Halsey and who's on the shelf and Rico Garcia. Good luck. Keegan Aiken's been terrible. They've had a lot of injuries. Your relief pitching hasn't been good. They have no confidence at all. They're never using him in any serious situations as well. And you could tell it. They don't have confidence in a lot of these guys. They don't have confidence in a lot of these guys. Tyler Wells, Anthony Yunus had a good start. He's kind of struggled lately as well. So really the only guy you really been going good has been Rico Garcia. So they've been a little better than the starters, but just a little. But they haven't been good. This is not going to work if you're going to win games. You have a problem, and and the starting pitching has been. That's your problem. That's number one. Look, Trevor Rogers ERA at 6. Everybody's like Bradish ERA. He looks like to me he's laboring with every start. He's been better. Shane Baz was good today. But he doesn't look like it. I mean, I don't see it here as well. You don't have Dean Kramer with the injury. Chance McDermott is gone. Brandon Young's been a little better, but there's nothing close to a number one starter after all this time. And I think that's on Mike Elias. You haven't got yourself anything that resembles. I mean, the Yankees, you put them on the field, they don't even look like they belong on the same field. Your starting pitching is nowhere close. And Trevor Rogers, having him struggle the way he has really exposed you because you were counting on that. Okay, you were going to get a guy who's a number one starter or something like that. Nowhere close. Not at all. Chris Bassett, and I don't know why he's continuing to start. And I take that back. He's continuing to start because of what we talked about. You got no talent in the minors anymore. Who do you bring up? They're already up. Kay Povich, Brandon Young, Tyler Wells, that's it. So you're kind of stuck. They had Trey Gibson. So what do you do? So that's it. So but the starting pitching, you're not winning anything with the starting pitching the way it is. All right. That's what's wrong with the Orioles. Grin and bear it. So pulled a defeat out of the hands of victory today. So that is what happened there. Orioles Report. Orioles Report. Anibal Nunez from the trade from the Sacramento A's for cash considerations and is optioned in the Norfolk designated Christian role for assignment. This is kind of what I mean too. Too much churn. Talking about this way too much. You're sending guys, getting guys, releasing guys, I saw it on Twitter the other day. Okay, well, we release a guy. Oh, the Orioles are gonna, you gotta stop that. Find out if you don't need guys like this all the time. Stop signing guys like this all the time. Find out who's in the minors. See if Keegan Gillies is any good. See if Trey Gibson can help you out. See if you might as well. Running on the street, taking these guys off the street all the time isn't clearly helping because your bullpen hasn't been any good. Designated Jose Espada for assignment. I claim Max Stanley off waivers from the Dodgers, optioned him in Norfolk. Reinstated Jackson Holiday. Why wasn't he starting today? That's crazy. Like, that was like, why would you take him out after he just got? Anyway, that's a whole nother as well. Trevor Rogers, 15-day DL. Reinstate him. Option Jose Espada, Norfolk, sent Jackson Holiday, and has Thursday reestablished in Norfolk. So that was earlier in the week. Option Maverick Hanley to Norfolk. Hanley's been up and down a lot as well. So we mentioned Hanley here from Chesapeake, retroactive 10 days, May 11th as well. Select the contract of Albert Suarez from Norfolk. Cameron Foster, Norfolk, designated Maverick Hanley for assignment. So I don't necessarily, real quick, Hanley, I don't think it's a terrible idea to keep 3 catchers the way, and that sounds silly to some of y'all saying, because considering the way Basayo and Adley look, but it's a little tough to deal with because it's so rough for a catcher, and you're playing both pretty much every day. So often, like, if Basayo's not catching, he is DHing. And opposite too. So, and they're kind of doing the opposite. They're kind of sharing DH. So to carry a third catcher that's not going to play as much doesn't sound like a terrible idea to me. As well, Jim Michael Asset, Ryan Mountcastle is expected to term sometime in July. Friday marked the first time that Ryan Helsley played catch. Says he was placed on IL. Mountcastle in July, I'll believe that when I see it. We'll see how that goes. I think they probably maybe want to keep him healthy to trade him or something as well. Helsley, I don't think is going to be too much longer. I think he's going to play probably in May. I think June you'll probably see him. So I don't think he's going to be too much longer as well. We'll see there what's going on. Orioles, we talked about, offer 23rd in batting average and 26th in errors total with 20. I think I said 26 total as well. Defense is not good. Batting average is not good. But you know what? I'm seeing this in all of baseball where teams, like, I'm seeing more nowadays in the last, like, 180 hitters, 190. Like, we're in May. Like, nobody should be playing much with a 180. You know, like the Cedric Mullins, I don't know. That's just the old school me. Because they didn't get at bats. You know, hitting 180, maybe for a little, maybe like a bottom of the order guy or something like that. But like too many guys are just hitting 180, etc. Rico Garcia has been the bright spot. 23 games, 3-0, 3 saves, 7 holds, 20.2 innings pitched. Garcia has been terrific for him. I definitely think Garcia has been their bright spot in terms of this season. I really have a hard time arguing that Garcia hasn't been their best pitcher, period. I mean, you could make a case that he is their most valuable Oriole altogether as well. Who's been hot? Pete Alonso getting there. Pete Alonso getting there. Mayo was ready to be thrown in the garbage. He was good this week, so let's give him credit. Bradish, I think, was probably, relatively speaking, the best pitcher, but again, I still see him laboring too much, way too much. And who's not? The entire rotation outside of Bradish. Bradish at least is giving you 5 innings decent. Like, nobody else is doing anything as far as giving you anything. Rogers and Bassett, I question whether they should get another start. That's how bad they've been. I mean, they've been really bad. This week, Rays again at the end of the week. This time you get them in Camden Yards along with the Tigers. Textiles and the Tigers, the way the Tigers have looked, they've had a ton of injuries. They've had no Scooble. They've had no – they must be missing at least 10 guys as well. That's why they've struggled as much as they had. Samuel Basayo's impressing me. I think he's really coming into his own. I picked him as player of the week because Basayo, I think, is definitely in the Rookie of the Year conversation. Thank you guys for joining us here this week on our Ravori Sports podcast. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. We'll see you next Wednesday. Be good to everybody. Have a good day.